It began with a video. It wasn't just unexpected. It was downright bizarre for someone who has positioned herself as a royal. The performance looked more like a parody than a birth announcement. But then came the question that no one in the mainstream media had dared to touch before. Was Meghan Markle ever really pregnant? A strange, uncomfortable video that went viral on social media like a slap in the face showed her dancing in a hospital room with Prince Harry while wearing what many viewers claimed looked like a moon bump. Pregnancies, particularly those involving Archie and Lilibet, have been going around for years, and major media outlets have always written off the possibility that she may have used a prosthetic bump or a surrogate entirely as internet buzz. However, that video changed the game. It didn't just rekindle the old rumors, it essentially lit a match and poured gasoline on them because now, instead of just fringe forums whispering about it, there were voices from inside the media, including outspoken figures like Piers and Jeremy Kyle, openly questioning what they were seeing. You are witnessing a broken heart that is permitted to bleed publicly, and that is what we are witnessing. What you're seeing in the UK, royal children must be born of the body to claim a place in the line of succession. So, if Meghan used a surrogate and kept that a secret, it wouldn't just be about deception. It could mean Archie and the other man have gone on a wrecking ball mission to enrich themselves by abusing the very institution that bestowed the titles to them which they used to make money. I'm watching an entitled, arrogant, bitter, and twisted little man who has had his claws dug into by a manipulative LA lady. Since Lilith isn't technically eligible for their royal titles or standing, this conspiracy hits differently. It's not just tabloid fodder anymore, it may even be constitutional. As the video went viral, people started dissecting it frame by frame, pointing out that Meghan is squatting, bending, and twerking in ways that most pregnant women wouldn't consider. Doctors, nurses, and mothers commented on it on various platforms, saying that something doesn't look right, and even those who typically defend Meghan were unusually silent. Meghan, dressed in black, danced in a hospital room with dramatic lighting and music about being a baby mama who does whatever she wants for someone who has claimed to crave privacy and left the UK allegedly to avoid media scrutiny. Putting this kind of footage out felt like the exact opposite. It wasn't just a mistake. It felt like a setup for ridicule, and that's exactly what happened online. People had a field day, with memes exploding, hot takes flying in from all directions, theories multiplying, and people wondering if this was a PR stunt gone wrong, a diversion from something else, or just another example of how completely disengaged Harry and Meghan have become the objects of popular ire. Unable to contain himself, Morgan posted on X, "We're about 2 months away from the sex tape." Harsh, to be sure, but it also shows how much the public's perception has changed as a result of this entire spectacle. Jeffrey Kyle wasn't any kinder, practically gagging on air as he explained that the video showed a pregnant woman dancing in a lap dance club while he was dancing in front of the camera. "Oh my God, it looks like a lap dance club with pregnant women. She's wearing a black dress, and she's twerking and holding her bump. On social media, the woman is..." He didn't hold back on the wider ramifications, calling the entire display a disgrace to the monarchy. If that wasn't enough, mainstream outlets that had previously ignored the bump rumors began asking discreet questions behind the scenes, even journalists whispering the same thing while viewers were shouting online, "What if it's true?" For years, this was off limits, but now it's on the front pages, and Meghan hasn't said a word yet, but the damage might already be done. Jeffrey, before finishing his seat across from Kenzie Schofield, Kyle jumped into what I'm going to feel. A little sick as I try to explain this because, after telling us over and over again that they were fleeing the UK because they wanted privacy and that they hated the press and everything, all she does now with her dreadful jams is post pictures of her kids everywhere, which always makes me say, well, hold on a second. This may be one of his most vicious takedowns, but he made fun of the entire concept of privacy that Meghan and Harry once claimed to value. He said that they left the UK to avoid the media, but now she's dancing like a TikTok. In a delivery room. Talk star Kinsey didn't hold back either, pointing out how detached Meghan seemed from the dignity that being a royal once demanded. It wasn't just about the dancing, but the entire spectacle. "This isn't someone in labor," she said. "This is someone performing something, selling herself." His voice was dripping with disbelief. "You've got children left with chicken jam jars no one wants, and now a music video in a maternity gown. The performance had lyrics, music, and visuals that all felt a little too, was this even filmed during her actual pregnancy? Polished people started to query on the internet. One nurse commented, "That's not a labor and delivery room," while another said, "That's not how a hospital bed is supposed to be positioned. That IV line doesn't go there." That was followed by the inconsistencies in the hospital room. It escalated to the point where women who have endured fulcrum pregnancies couldn't identify the bump's strange movement under the dress and the flat-out statement that she wasn't in labor. It's a costume drama. One lady wrote, "That belly is too round and too ideal." Although it wasn't a novel theory, it felt more plausible than ever when old footage of Meghan's bump folding awkwardly while she was sitting in other videos, showing her hand pressing against her stomach and the shape shifting unnaturally appeared. It appears to have come from Amazon. Morgan doubled down by posting a split-screen comparison of Meghan dancing in the hospital room and Meghan performing on stage years prior, with a completely different posture and bump shape. He captioned it, "Tell me again how this is the same pregnancy." The comments went viral, followed by an international response from Alexandra Marshall. She stated unequivocally that the video was a nightmare for monarchists, warning that Republicans in nations like Australia would use this circus as evidence that modern monarchy had devolved into a farce. Australia appeared visibly disturbed as the ambassador for Australia's constitutional monarchy. She claimed that this is the argument on a silver platter, disgraceful, and gives anti-monarchists exactly what they want. However, the most chilling opinion came from Norman Fenton, a math professor who recently returned from court. He wasn't discussing feelings, but rather logic about this bump. He stated bluntly that it's inconsistent with what we know about full-term physical behavior, and doesn't behave like a real pregnancy. He didn't delve into medical analysis, but he didn't need to. He simply asked the question that had been bothering people. What does it mean for Archie and Lilibet if this isn't real? Major media outlets, meanwhile, remained strangely silent. Articles about Meghan's lovely birthday post for Lilibet remained pinned at the top of news sites. They were all fluff, nothing important, and nothing challenging. This silence began to speak volumes because reporters were texting whistleblowers to find sources and attempting to confirm whether this video was actually new, or if Meghan had staged it years prior, dusted it off, and pushed it out. Now that the attention was waning, nobody could figure out why. What was the plan? What was the objective? If it was publicity, it backfired. If it was damage control, it worked for all the wrong reasons. As people started to make connections and more voices began calling for actual consequences, not just public humiliation or financial penalties, but actual action from the royal institution, speculation became more structured. The recurrent question was no longer one of taste or decency, but rather of eligibility. When legal experts weighed in, they weren't merely speculating on rumors. They were pointing out that this could be a constitutional crisis concealed under a layer of celebrity chaos. Online petitions began to gather steam, demanding that Buckingham Palace launch an inquiry. Some wanted the Sussex children. Meghan had staged not just a video, but an entire pregnancy. What did that mean for Archie and Lilibet's royal status? The rule was clear. In order to remain in the royal line of succession, a child must be born of a royal surrogate. No such disclosure had ever been made. Taken down from the royal website, then came the unconfirmed but widely believed rumor that Prince Harry was considering returning to his mother's maiden name, Spencer. This move alone sent shockwaves through the royal watching world. Was it damage control or preemptive distancing? Insiders close to the royal family reportedly weren't amused, according to sources quoted in royal gossip columns. Others called for an immediate suspension of their titles until birth certificates and medical records could be verified. While William was reportedly less incensed about the video, King Charles was quite displeased by the most recent prank. It brought the monarchy back into disarray just as he was trying to modernize its image. According to some reports, he even called the video a disgrace to everything Mom stood for. Royal biographers wasted no time in rewriting books that had been in progress for a long time, updating chapters, exploring theories more publicly, and even allowing senior palace staff members to speak off the record. One of them reportedly said, "We've protected them for too long. This isn't about media bias anymore, it's about national trust." Then there was a media turnabout that nobody noticed. In response, several well-known anchors who had previously supported Meghan warily discussed the matter. One of them stated, "If this video was meant to prove something, it has only raised more doubt." The problem isn't that Meghan danced. The problem is that it looks like she's playing a character and the stakes of that character are real. The most bizarre aspect of it all was that Meghan never replied, issued a press statement, denied anything, tried to explain the video, or even posted a passive Instagram comment about avoiding the noise. All of a sudden, this was no longer a side discussion. It was now the main event. There was a lingering sense that something wasn't right and that the palace might be ignoring it to avoid more drama, but ignoring it didn't make it go away. The more they remained silent, the more the public began to ask, what else have we not been told? Was she hoping that it would all blow over, or was it purposeful silence meant to provoke? As the dust settled, people began to stop laughing. It was about trust, legacy, and whether the royal family was real, not just about one film or one phony-looking bump. Maintaining the values it professed to preserve. And for many, Meghan's video wasn't just cheesy or strange. It was the moment they stopped trusting anything coming from that area of the royal tent. The moment the distinction between reality TV and monarchy vanished out of existence.